feel great. So he's been an amazing addition. Robert runs our planning practice. So service, planning, and Robert is not a CPA, he's not an attorney, but if you ever sat in a meeting with Robert, you would think he was. He can uncover all of the issues that these clients care about, and he can deliver at the highest level extraordinary ideas and solutions to the things that are keeping them up at night. Robert is there in presentations with first-time opportunities. He's there closing business, and he's also servicing a great deal of our client relationships. Myself, I do a little bit of everything. I'm kind of the big picture person within our team. Every year I write a business plan. We articulate very clearly what it is that we want to accomplish. I'm the connector. For those of you that were in the room yesterday during the general session, I spent some time talking about this idea of client advocacy. I spend a lot of time connecting the dots. I love building relationships. I love getting people excited about what the Summa Group is doing. And I really do this through an articulation of our values. And that's really what today is about. Today is about how our values permeate not only the people within our team, but also the clients. And you can't fake it. You can't have one without the other. So as we talk about these things today, Bob, collaboration, transparency, authenticity, humility, these are all the things that we try to embody and communicate with our team, but also with our clients. So I hope that gives you some ideas to...
Thank you for that, Jeff, I've been in your office many times. I've watched you work with me and a number of people I've referred you to, and I'm always impressed with the vim and vigor of the people in your office. Maybe you could talk for a second about how you put all this together.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate all of you coming here today. It's an honor for us to be up here, and hopefully by the end of our session, we'll give you a few takeaways that you can take back to your respective practices. So there's an expression, happy wife, happy life. To me, it's happy staff, happy clients. So we went through a bit of a tragedy in our business about 3 years ago. We had a partner, equal partner to Brian and I, who became brain dead overnight. Just went down hard. And it was a very pivotal time in our business. And at that time, we hired a business coach to come in and just take a look at our operation and figure out, okay, the personality, you guys have probably done this before in your respective practices, or maybe you haven't. If you haven't, I strongly recommend it, especially if you have a team. We have 9 people on our team total. So the personality profiling took place. There was a full assessment of what each individual on the team liked about their job, what they did not like about their job, what could we as partners be doing better. It was very private, one-on-one conversations, came back to us. And what came from that was a lot of good things. And so the infrastructure of our organization really came to fruition after this coaching session. And so one of the things that we actually heard from the employees is that they don't know what's going on with our business. You know, we all have CSAs, right? We all have research people. We all have junior partners. And we're all running in 50 million different directions. And the staff doesn't know what's going on with our businesses. But to gain the maximum productivity from your staff, it's not all about money. It's not all about compensation. They have to feel empowered, and they have to feel involved and excited about what's going on. So one of the things that we implemented were mandatory Monday morning general business meetings. So if nothing is scheduled during this time, 9 a.m. Monday morning, you have to be there. If you're sick, that's fine. If you're on the road, if one of us could not reschedule a meeting, we're calling it. But in these general business meetings, what we're talking about are the meetings that the 3 of us had last week. We want our staff to know everything about our clients and the positive meetings that we had last week, or the negative meetings that we had last week. Or a client who was upset with something. We all experience that once in a while. So the general business meeting talks about last week's meetings, it talks about next week's meetings. So this also helps prepare the staff to know what we're working on. They want to feel excited about the pipeline. They want to feel engaged. And this has been just enormously positive for our group. So that's one of the things that came out of that. The other little things in terms of service that we do as a group, and you may have heard this at other conferences before, we've been implementing this for years, and these are just some little takeaways that maybe you could take back to your office. So for example, you have a client coming in for a meeting. Client gets an email from the CSA with directions to your office, asking the client what they would like for breakfast or lunch. How do they want their coffee prepared? We have 2 private parking spots. We work in a high-rise in LA, and parking's a pain in the ass. And it's very confusing parking structure. So there are directions to the Summa group, two spots. And what we're gonna start doing, we haven't done it yet, is we're gonna actually put the client's name on the spot, which we think would be a pretty cool idea. Because if you, let's say you went to the doctor, and you pulled into a spot and you had your name up there, you'd probably be with that doctor for life. No one who's going out of their way to make that person feel so special. The other little touches are, we just redid our space several years ago. We have a beautiful space, thanks to Oppenheimer Senior Management. That when you come into the Summa Group, it really looks like we're a boutique within a firm. It looks like we have our own operation. And so they walk into the smell of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. It's just the aroma. These are just little things that add to the touch. We introduce our prospective clients and we introduce our existing clients to everyone on the team. So as they walk down the hall, we actually make a point to walk them into every single person's office. And we just want them to feel like they're part of the family. And it is a family. I mean, let's face it, it's a hard business that we're in. It's a stressful business. And we want it to feel like a family, and we are. So there's more I could touch on later, but
Very, very helpful.
yeah.
Robert, you have brought a lot of structure to the planning part of the Summa Group. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that with us.
Yeah, so I mean, this has been an evolutionary process over time. We've evolved to providing different types of services for our clients out of necessity and out of desire of the client. And just to go back to what Jeff was saying, it's our group's like a family environment. So someone said something the other day where they said they have their personal family, they have their family at work, and then they have their family as clients. So we're very similar in that way. And a lot of our clients, over time, going back to like '08, were not focused on performance. They were focused on their financial plan. When I say plan, meaning what's really important to them in life. Like, what does their balance sheet look like? What is this money supposed to do? Why are we doing what we're doing? And if you stick to what we termed the client index, we get away from just sticking to performance on investment. So again, within the financial planning aspect, we've also been focusing a lot of time on building out what we call virtual family offices for a lot of our clients. And that's, this is a little tidbit just to collaborate with your clients' other advisors. So I'm sure everyone's doing this, but when you get brought into a case, we focus on a lot of liquidity situations where somebody is selling a business or they're going through a very transitory life-changing event, figuring out who the estate attorney is, who the banker is, who the CPA is, who the tax lawyer is, who the 401k guy is, who is the insurance guy, and collaborating, putting together this master plan and communicating that with your client, which is a huge part of the financial plan, is just communicating with the client. And then what we do is we also sit down as a group, we all talk about the plans and how we can best help the client. So it's this kind of master collaboration with the client and team.
Do most of your clients end up with a financial plan either initially or at some point in the process?
Every single client starts with plan. So we work backwards. Our values are based on what's important to the family, like what's the money, what's the intention of these different entities, or what's their balance sheet look like, and then we work backwards and we figure out, again, that client index, what the financial plan tells us basically what we need to do with the money and how it needs to be allocated.
Jeff, please.
Yeah, because I want Robert to expand on something that I think is really important here. So we have a live case right now. It's a business owner who is selling his business, and we were introduced to the individual through the M&A banker helping us sell the company. So, Robert, I want to share with them what you've been doing with this particular client. The transaction is going to close in the next week or two. This guy hasn't seen an investment proposal from us yet, but we're pretty confident he's going to hire us. And he has not seen any investment returns, no pie charts, no nothing. But based on the work that Robert and myself, we've been working together on this case, but mostly Robert, just kind of share with them what you've been doing, who you contacted, how you did, all the work you did.
So in this specific case, gentleman selling his company, he's worked 30 years building this asset base, and all of a sudden he's going to go from a position of having an illiquid asset to now this liquidity, and he needs to replace the income. So in this particular case, we were brought in by an investment banking firm who was putting together the deal and gave us the LOI. And we're sitting down with the family at their home, going over the financial plan at their dining room table, spend an hour doing financial planning. Then we have lunch, then the CPA / controller comes in. So we explain with her what's going on. We talk about what are the different tax issues. After that meeting, on the way back to the airport, we have a call with the estate attorney. He sends me a copy of all the different legal documents. I'm not an attorney, but I take his information. We basically craft it all together, almost like in this giant investment policy statement. And then we send that information out to the entire team so that everyone is communicating and everyone's working for the benefit of the client. This brings a ton of comfort and peace to him, that he knows everything is visually kind of mapped out of like what his life's going to look like. And by the way, he's never going to spend the money, so then it's like, well, the important issues are, I have all these kids, and I have these grandkids, and I have different trusts, and what are the different provisions and things that I can do to slowly incentivize my kids to work hard but not be, trust fund kids. And so we get really deep into all these issues. And then I take that information back to the estate attorney, and then he's in the process of redrafting some new documents based on the state law. And by the way, this whole process from start to finish is maybe 3 or 4 months in the works. We haven't shown him an investment proposal once. And we've closed some of our biggest accounts without ever showing an investment proposal until literally the accounts are set up, the money's wired in, and then, oh, by the way, we're really good at managing money.
That's you lead us to an interesting point that I'd ask Brian to comment on. If you're somebody who has a liquidity event, you made a nice living and now you're getting a pot full of money. It sounds like everybody's dream, but my own experience is that it can be overwhelming. What are you guys doing to bring comfort to, in Robert's example, this family that's going to be in a very different position in 7 or 10 days?
Well, we call it the demystification of the advisor selection process. So everybody in this room, has been doing this for a while. So you have to put yourself in the other person's position. You have to be somewhat compassionate, empathetic to the position they're in. What I mean really is they have to figure out who in the heck they're going to entrust this life-changing liquidity event with. Now, it's easy for us to sit here on our side, well, look, we're great, we know what we're doing, we've been doing this for a long time, but they are hearing the same thing over and over and over again. So what we do in this first meeting is we basically say, if we accomplish no other goal today, we will have demystified this process for you to the extent that you're going to have a working roadmap to make the right decision. We want to be selected, but if we don't get selected, at the very least, you're going to leave this meeting armed with the tools and resources to make the right decision. What that does, Bob, it disarms them. They don't feel like they're being sold. They're being educated. This is an educational process that now takes place, and we now focus to these values. And these values are this idea of transparency. Transparency with regard to fees. Transparency with regard to how we're going to communicate to you during the course of this relationship. Collaboration, what should you expect? What should you demand with regard to that? How does that work with our team? And how is it going to work with you and your most trusted advisors? We're talking about accountability. You need to make sure that whoever you engage, that you have clearly defined levels of accountability. What happens if something goes wrong? We also talk about accountability with regard to the fact